What's up, my dudes, my dudettes, and wrestling colleagues of all kinds? This is Dean the Beast 94 coming back at you with another video. So, as we're on the road to WrestleMania, I figured, hey, why not name my top 5 favorite WrestleManias of all time? Some of them are going to have backstories. Some of them you're going to be a little bit baffled for, like, wow, why did he choose this WrestleMania? There's so many other good WrestleManias, but a lot of them some of these do have backstories. So coming in at number 5, we got WrestleMania 15. Not only because this was the first VHS tape I purchased, first wrestling VHS tape I purchased, but it was the first of 3 WrestleMania matches for Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Um, I know the opening match, you had Al Snow, Billy Gunn, Hardcore Holly for the Hardcore Championship. You had a random tag team match between D'Lo Brown and Test, taking on Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett for the World Tag Team titles. Which, if Owen and Jarrett had a tag team name, I always considered Canadian Country. Um, and prior to that match on Sunday Night Heat, they had a battle royal to see who would face them later that night. You had so many other good options. You had the Road Warriors, you had the Hardy Boys. There was a random team between, I think it was Droz and Godfather. I think the Alkalites or the APA. I believe Public Enemy was in that match, but I'm not sure. Another match that really got me baffled, especially on how they did the end, was Bossman and Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell, and how basically the Brood just ascended from the ceiling onto the top of the cell, looped in a noose, and basically hung the Bossman. I'll never understand how they did that. The fatal 4-way elimination match for the IC title between Road Dogg, Goldust, Ken Shamrock, and Val Venis. You had the debut of Nicole Bass, who ended up becoming Sable's manager or bodyguard when Sable took on Tori. You had Big Show versus Mankind to determine who would be the special guest referee later on for the Austin Rock match. And basically, Big Show getting arrested that night for punching out Vince McMahon and saying, I'm out of the corporation, which factions in '99 were pretty big between the Corporation, D-Generation X, and the Ministry of Darkness. You had Kane versus Triple H in a no DQ match. Once again, pile driving Pete Rose for the second year in a row. And basically, Triple H ended up winning that match with Chyna coming back, turning her back on Kane, and rejoining D-Generation X. As we thought. Until the Shane McMahon versus X-Pac match for the European Championship, and Triple H turning his back on X-Pac and DX and joining the corporation. And then I believe just the main event, The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Austin won the WWE Championship. And I believe that was his 3rd time winning the championship. So that one definitely stands out to me. Number 4, we have WrestleMania 23. All because it has one of my favorite main events of WrestleMania, and not Shawn Michaels, John Cena, despite that being a good match. But I loved Undertaker versus Batista for the world title. That was one of Batista's greatest matches, hands down. And then you had that extreme moment for the Money in the Bank briefcase with Hardy jumping on top of Edge, snapping the ladder in half, and Mr. Kennedy winning the title. Wow. And you had, the millionaires, fucking Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump with Bobby Lashley and Umaga, and then whoever lost got their head shaved, which we already know who lost their hair. This one also stood out because this was Chris Benoit's last WrestleMania against MVP. Not one of the best matches, but, it still stands out. Number 3, we have WrestleMania 18, one of my favorite WrestleManias. And I would consider this WrestleMania and that year basically solidified the end of the Attitude Era. for me at least. And not because they were going through the transition of a name change, but just because, we had all the companies together at that time. All the companies merged at that time. WWE had purchased WCW and ECW, and basically WWF had all the talent. So where was the competition? So I remember that match. I remember Hogan and Rock standing out, which should have been the main event over Triple H and Jericho that night. You had the opening match between Rob Van Dam and William Regal for the IC title. DDP versus Christian for the European title. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Scott Hall, which that man can sell a stunner. one of the best Stone Cold's one of the best Stone Cold stunners I've seen was with Scott Hall. That was the best one. And yeah, that one definitely stood out. You had Edge versus Booker T, which was all right. You had Maven versus Goldust for the Hardcore Championship, which that changed numerous times that night between Hurricane, Mighty Molly, Christian, and that's all I could recall from that Mania. And then you had like the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Coming in at number 2 was WrestleMania 30. WrestleMania 30, I remember being at my boy's house that day just because of the whole Hall of Fame induction, the card. And I'm a sucker for opening matches. I love Bret versus Owen. I loved AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon at 33. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at 21. I'm really a sucker when it comes to opening matches, but Daniel Bryan versus Triple H was one of the best opening matches for Mania. And then the main event obviously was Daniel Bryan versus Orton versus Batista, which Daniel Bryan ended up winning it all, having his WrestleMania moment. And I'm kind of glad CM Punk leaked the original card because he literally did save WrestleMania 30. And then also we had the emotional match between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, which Brock ended the Undertaker's streak. I just remember I didn't know whether to be shocked or cry. I was, it was one of those emotional wrecks. Like, oh, like, what does this mean? Like, Undertaker's retiring, or nobody knew. Nobody really knew. And this is coming down to number 1. My favorite WrestleMania of all time. The first WrestleMania I actually seen live on pay-per-view, WrestleMania 20. March 14th, 2004. How do I remember that date? Because it's the day before my birthday, just to let you guys know. And I remember just being so excited for that Mania. Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. The returning Undertaker versus Kane. I don't know why I was so excited for that. And then Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, which everybody had high expectations for, but that flopped. And then both of them ended up leaving the company. And then you had the triple threat match. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this triple threat match or the triple threat match they had at Backlash. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Chris Benoit, World Heavyweight Championship. Chris Benoit ended it, winning it all, and then having that moment with Eddie Guerrero when he was WWE champion, and it was great. One of my favorite WrestleManias to this day. So give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on this video. And until next time, check you later.